Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. And inshallah, this small reminder today finds you in good spirits and in good health. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Dhariyat, in the 51st chapter of the Quran, in the 55th verse, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So remind, indeed, the reminder benefits the believers. And so inshallah, today we will be focusing on a short reminder on the story of Prophet Musa and Prophet Khidr alayhim wassalatu wassalam that is mentioned in Surah Kahf, which is the 18th chapter of the Quran, between the set of verses 60 to 82. And I hope, inshallah, that we will all be reading this surah tomorrow on the day of Jum'ah. Now, to start off with this story, let us establish what is the background of this story. And this background is provided to us by Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, as he says that he heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that once Prophet Musa alayhi salam was delivering a sermon, or was delivering a speech to the Israelites, and he was asked, who is the most knowledgeable, or who is the most knowledgeable? And Musa alayhi salam replied by saying, I am. And so Allah Azza wa Jalla reprimanded him for what he said, because he did not attribute this to Allah. And Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to him that a slave at the junction of the sea is more knowledgeable than Musa alayhi salam. And so Musa alayhi salam, curious about who this individual was, asked Allah Azza wa Jal, how can I find him? And so Allah Azza wa Jal instructed him to get a vessel, fill it with water, and put a fish in it, and to travel. And wherever this fish would basically jump out of the vessel and go back, or just leave the vessel, that would be the place where you would find this man. And so Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he followed the instructions of Allah Azza wa Jal, and him alongside his attendant, who is Yusha ibn Nun. And if you've heard this name before, Yusha ibn Nun alayhi salatu wasalam is also a prophet of God, and he was the prophet under whose leadership the children of Israel actually entered back into the Holy Land, or into the Promised Land. So under Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, the children of Israel did not actually go back to the Promised Land, or to the Holy Land. It was actually under Prophet Joshua, or Prophet Yusha alayhi salatu wasalam, when the children of Israel stopped wandering the deserts and went back to the Promised Land. And so Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Yusha alayhi salatu wasalam, both of them set together on this journey, and they traveled until they reached a rock. And then they decided to take a break and rest on this rock, and they fell asleep. Now during their sleep, this fish, it wriggles out of its the water vessel, and it jumps back into the sea. And in the morning, when they wake up, Yusha alayhi salam, he forgets to tell Musa alayhi salatu wasalam what has happened. He forgets to tell him about that the fish had left the vessel. And some of the scholars, they say that the root word of insan, it comes from it's nisyan, right, to forget. And so it is intrinsic in the human nature to sometimes forget. And so Yusha alayhi salam here, he forgot about informing Musa alayhi salam that the fish had escaped from the vessel. And so later on in the journey, Yusha alayhi salam informs Musa alayhi salam, and they backtrack their steps to the point where the fish actually left the vessel. And there Musa alayhi salam indeed found the man, and the man is Al-Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, who is Al-Khidr? Or who is Khidr? Khidr is, there's different opinions that the scholars have about the status of Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam. Some said that he was a pious man, so a wali of Allah. Others said that he was a prophet of God, and others actually even opined that he was an angel of God. And the majority opinion, it seems, or the predominant opinion, it seems, is that he was a prophet of God. And so Musa alayhi salam meets Khidr alayhi salam, and he asks him, can I follow you on, so you can teach me what you have learned? So in the Quran, this is in the 18th chapter of the Quran, in the 66th verse, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, قَالَ لَهُ مُوسَى, and so Musa said to him, هَلْ أَتَّبِعُكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُعَلِّمَنِي مِمَّا عُلِّمْتَ رُشْدًا. May I follow you on the condition that you teach me from what you have taught, from what you have been taught of sound judgment? And Khidr alayhi salam gives him a very interesting response. He says, قَالَ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. He said, indeed, with me you will never be able to have patience. And he continues on and he says, وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطُ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And how can you have patience for what you do not encompass in knowledge? And Musa alayhi salam, he assures him, he says, سَتَجِدُنِي إِنشَاءَ اللَّهُ صَابِرًا. Inshallah, you'll find me patient, and I'm not going to disobey you. And so Khidr alayhi salam, he continues on and he says that, if you are going to follow me, فَلَا تَسْأَلْنِي عَنْ شَيْءٍ حَتَّى أُحْدِثَ لَكَ مِنْهُ ذِكْرًا. So if you are going to follow me, do not ask me about anything until I make a mention about it to you. And so they both set out on this journey. Now, before we continue, what is the premise of this journey? What is the premise of what is going to happen on this journey? Musa alayhi doesn't know what Khidr alayhi knows. There is a unknown about why certain things will be happening. And I want you to keep in mind our circumstance that we are in today. We may feel that we may feel this way, especially given our current circumstances. For many of us, it is our first and inshallah our last time that we will be celebrating the month of Ramadan in a state of isolation. But that doesn't mean there isn't a larger plan. Just because we cannot see this larger plan does not mean it does not exist. And if we pay attention, Khidr alayhi salam keeps telling Musa alayhi salam to have patience, right? He keeps telling him that you will not have patience to find out. So patience is a very key virtue in understanding and realizing why certain things are happening in the world and why certain things happen in the story, as we will inshallah continue on the journey of Khidr alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. So, in this journey, the first thing that happens is both Musa alayhi and Khidr alayhi they embark on a boat. And so the people on the boat, it seems that they knew Khidr alayhi, so they let him on the boat and they don't really charge any wages from both of them. And what Khidr alayhi does, which to Musa alayhi at first seems, like why would Khidr alayhi do this? He takes an axe and he takes out a plank from the boat, basically rendering it more prone to sinking. And so Musa ﷺ asks Khidr, like, why would you do this? So he breaks that premise. And the Prophet ﷺ told us that this first time that Musa ﷺ breaks this promise of not asking Khidr ﷺ, why he's doing certain things, is out of forgetfulness. Musa ﷺ simply forgot and he didn't understand why Khidr ﷺ was doing what he was doing. And so Khidr tells him, didn't I tell you will not have patience with me? And it's, the Prophet continues and he told us in this narration that a sparrow actually came and sat on the edge of at the edge of the boat, and then it comes to where the hole was made, and it takes its beak, and it takes a dip into the water, and then it takes another dip into the water. And Khidr alayhi tells Musa alayhi, my knowledge and your knowledge, when compared to the knowledge of Allah, are equal to the amount of water the sparrow took from the sea with its beak. And that's just to emphasize the point that just because you don't know why certain things are happening doesn't mean there isn't a divine reason for them happening, and a larger reason that inshallah if you have patience you will come to understand. And so the journey continues between these two great men in history. They continue on, and Khidr alayhi and Musa alayhi they disembark from the boat and they find a young child, a ghulam. Actually, ghulam is the term that Musa alayhi used for the Prophet Muhammad during the Isra wal Mi'raj. It's a nice side tidbit. But Musa alayhi and Khidr alayhi they find this boy, and Khidr alayhi does what seems unspeakable, from the eyes of Musa alayhi. Khidr alayhi kills the young boy while he was playing with his friends. And so obviously this time Musa ﷺ is not doing this out of forgetfulness. He's actually doing this out of anger because he just saw a young kid being killed in front of him. He said, why would you do that? And Khidr ﷺ reminds him again that, I told you will not have patience with me. By the way, it's said that this young child was below the age of puberty, so inshallah this child will go to paradise, and because it was below the age of puberty, and some of the scholars have commented on that. And then the journey continues, and they go into a village, or into a group of people, not a civilization per se, but into a town. And in this town, usually the custom was that when travelers are coming, or when visitors are coming to the town, the townspeople would take care of them, would feed them, and that was the custom at the time. However, this town did not offer these luxuries to Prophet Musa and Prophet Khidr. But despite that, Khidr alayhi, he sees a wall in this town that was kind of bent, and he goes and he fixes the wall and makes it upright again. And Musa alayhi again asks Khidr, like, these people didn't treat us right, and you're doing these wages, you could have taken, you're doing this work, you could have taken wages for it, right? And got it, we could get something to eat. And Khidr alayhi salam, here he says, هذا فراق بيني وبينك. This is the separation between you and me, and now I will tell you about what you did not have patience for, about which you did not have patience for. And so here now Khidr alayhi salam tells Musa alayhi salam the larger picture, the picture that Musa alayhi salam could not see. And Khidr explains that the reason he put the hole in the boat was because there was a king, a tyrant king, after that was coming and taking all the ships and all the boats that were, sturdy and that were, well built and that were efficient and weren't basically didn't have any defects in it. And the reason Khidr alayhi salam put this defect into this boat was so the king doesn't take this boat. And the reason Khidr alayhi salam killed the child was because the child was a big tribulation to his parents, who were righteous parents. And so Allah Azza wa Jal willed that this child be replaced by another child who would be better for the righteous parents. And the reason he made the bent wall upright was because beneath this wall there was a treasure that belonged to orphans, and their father was a righteous man. And so Khidr alayhi salam fixed the wall so that the treasure doesn't get exposed, so when the orphans grow up they can take advantage of this treasure. And now the full picture kind of, Musa alayhi salam can see that entire full picture. And this is why patience is so important. This is the ultimate test of faith, when we have no idea why certain things are happening, but we have the patience and the faith to find out, to trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, and to know that there are reasons why these things are happening. Our religion is a very rational and logical religion, but religion is also about faith, and sometimes that can mean it cannot be explained rationally, right? At least at the time when all this is happening, it cannot be explained rationally. And so this is where faith really plays a big role. Ibrahim alayhi salam did not know what was going to happen to him when they threw him into the fire. Musa alayhi salam did not know what was going to happen to him when he was meeting Pharaoh with his brother, and they were giving good consultation and advice to Pharaoh. He did not know what was going. Musa alayhi salam did not know what was going to happen when during the great Exodus he took the children of Israel and he came across a sea, and behind them was the enemy, and they didn't know where to go. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam did not know what was going to happen, but at all these times these prophets had trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. Adam alayhi salam did not know what was going to happen on earth when he came to earth, but they all had trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. And this wasn't a blind trust. They knew the reality of this world. They knew the one who created the heavens and the earth could take care of their problems, and the same creator who's creating the heavens and the earth is creating these situations for reasons that perhaps are beyond our mental capacities and our wisdoms, but they are part of the divine wisdom. And just like that, we need to realize there's a purpose for everything that is happening to us today. We may not understand it fully today, but this is where the question comes up. Do we have the patience to endure it and then wait to find out why everything has happened? And so going back to the story of Musa and Khidr alayhi salam, Khidr alayhi salam explained that larger picture to Musa alayhi salam, which at first Musa was blind to, but now he fully understood that bigger picture. And this taught Musa alayhi salam, it transformed Musa alayhi salam. This experience transformed him, and he grew from this experience. And hopefully we can benefit and also grow from this story, inshallah, by analyzing the story and understanding the story. And right now, during this month of Ramadan, let's aim to use our time wisely. Most of us have more free time, and so let us use this time to become better and to do better, right? And so here's a small homework assignment, inshallah, where everyone, if anyone wants to kind of go further into the story of Prophet Musa and Khidr alayhi salam and gain some more wisdoms and points from it, because the story of Musa and Khidr alayhi salam has so many different lessons to it, and today we just touched on one aspect of it. Another big lesson that scholars derive from the story of Musa alayhi salam and Khidr alayhi salam is the etiquette that needs to exist between a student and a teacher, and how they dealt with one another. And so perhaps this is something that each and every one of us can go and dig a little bit more as we read the story tomorrow on Yawm al-Jum'ah, and really analyze the interaction between these two great legendary men in history, Musa alayhi salam and Khidr alayhi salam. And with that, inshallah, we will end as-salatu was السلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وآخر الدعوانا والحمد لله رب العالمين. بارك الله فيكم for listening. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.